Hello everyone, welcome to the MudRoom, our weekly free and live Uncommon Sense parenting class. Apologize for being a little late today. We're having lots of technical difficulties here at Uncommon Sense Parenting. So today we're going to be marching it back, as we have been for the whole month of March, back to 2018 and talking about consent. I have been seeing this topic crop up in lots of different places over the last month as the weather is starting to get better and our kids are starting to get outside and have more room to stretch and play and get all that fresh air. I'm seeing lots of complaints about kids getting really rough and not knowing when to stop and not knowing how to navigate that kind of rough and tumble war weapon and superhero play that kids love so much. So we've already addressed this topic on the MudRoom, but I figured, you know what? We need to march it back and we need to do some review because this is a really important topic. It applies to boys, it applies to girls, and it has really, really tangible implications for how children navigate those uncomfortable conversations about how they interact with other people as they get older. So I am going to leave you with marching it back to an episode from 2018 where we talked about how to teach consent through rough and tumble play. Alrighty, let's get set up here, and I'm in the comments if you need me. I'm here live. If you have questions, drop them in there and I'll answer them as best as I can. All right?
I suggest you join. So tonight, I'd like to chat a bit about rough and tumble play and consent. It's come up a lot in the posse, most recently just yesterday, and as a boy mom, I get it. I totally get it. Rough and tumble play is literally a part of your everyday life if you have boys or a spirited girl. If you're a mom of genteel boys or girls, fair warning, this class might not really speak to your heart. So first things first, children need rough and tumble play. I know that there's this instinct to not allow it because someone might get hurt or you're worried about condoning violence. Bumps and bruises are reasonable risk. Rough play actually plays a very important developmental role for young kids who want to engage in it. So you can't stop it. The brain will find a way. It's like kids who are climbers. You can't stop the climbing. It's a developmental imperative. They need to climb to make whatever connections their brain is busy making. So you can glue their shoes to the floor, but the brain will find a way. And believe me, I feel you. I've got a climber too. But as a general rule, stopping children from doing things that they're naturally inclined to do is doing actual harm to them. It hurts them mentally. Children don't just do things for shits and giggles. They do it because there's a purpose behind it. We may not actually be able to see that purpose, and they may not recognize what the purpose is behind it, but that doesn't mean that it isn't purposeful. So rough and tumble play helps children learn friend from foe. It helps them develop an emotional intelligence. It helps them learn to make sound judgments. It helps them learn how to deal with boundary crossing. It teaches them how to cooperate and be altruistic. There's been studies on many different mammals that show that when active, rough, play-fighting type behavior is suppressed, those animals grow up miscuing social behaviors, which means they can't differentiate between when someone is being genuinely aggressive or when they're being playful. They don't understand the normal give and take of social situations, and they generally develop violent impulses later in life. On the human end of it, there was a study done on young murderers in Texas, and they found one commonality between them all, and that was that there was a lack of rough and tumble play in their childhoods compared to people who grew up in similar circumstances but didn't become murderers. Which isn't to say that if your child doesn't go and rough and tumble play, your child will grow up to be a criminal. But it does show that if your child is rough and tumble playing, it has effects far far beyond their 4-year-old selves. So it is important that we recognize that rough and tumble play is different from genuine aggression. They're not the same thing. They're two distinct things. Play fighting, wrestling, make-believe aggression, shouting, etc. are not real aggression. Intent plays a huge role here. And you can generally see that children are play fighting versus being genuinely aggressive because they're smiling. They're having a good time. You can see that they're both engaged in it. But what happens when it starts as play, or it was intended as play, but the other person either isn't having fun anymore or someone gets unintentionally hurt? Well, that's why it's important that we establish the concept of consent with our children. So, dads, any dads watching, this is generally in your court because as a very generalized rule, dads tend to be the ones children rough and tumble with. So if you are the person that your child likes to be rough with, it's on you to teach them this stuff, okay? That doesn't mean that if they've moved on to play fighting with peers that you can't teach this stuff. For the love of God, please teach this stuff. It's just way easier to teach when it's with you. It's easier to build strong habits from the ground up than to change old ones. So first we need to teach children that we cannot touch other people without asking first. Bish? Now this doesn't always have to be a verbal ask. We often ask people if we can touch them just by like holding our hand out and kind of raising our eyebrows. That's kind of the human version of a play bow. But that's pretty subtle for most little kids, so we're going to start by teaching them to just ask outright. Do you want to wrestle? Do you want to sword fight? Do you just want to fight? And that means if you are play fighting with them, you have to model it. Do you want to fight? Yes? Great. If your children are playing with peers, stop them. Ask them, hey, did you ask your friend if they'd like to fight with you? Teach kids that before you touch someone, you have to get consent, period. So next is the rules. Once you have consent to touch them, then we need to establish boundaries around it. And yes, y'all, this is exactly how we'd like them to navigate sexual encounters when they're older. Because sex is another form of physical play. We're laying some really heavy groundwork here. We're parenting in the age of #MeToo, and if we want our children to never have to say those words in that context, we need to be raising them with these habits, not introducing them when they're 18. So we're going to teach them, again, either through modeling when we're playing with them or walking them through it when they're playing with someone else, to establish boundaries around the touch. Can we punch? Can we kick? Can we push? Can we slap? Can we use our elbows? Where? I'm not okay with you punching me in the head, so no headshots, okay? Now, Erin here is telling you that she has a sore arm already, so no hitting people's arms today, okay? Empower them to suggest rules and to reject rules if they don't fit within their comfort zone. And I always teach my boys to end rulemaking by summing up the rules and saying, those are the rules today. If you break the rules, we can't play anymore. And then, as long as everybody agrees, they can go ham. Because they now know that the other person wants to be touched and how. And if they break the rules, it stops. Or in a group setting, the child who broke the rules is no longer welcome in the game. And that teaches children that if they don't play by the rules, there are social consequences. Logical social consequences. And that doesn't mean that they can never play again, or that they can't even reinsert themselves into the play by apologizing and reestablishing new boundaries. To quote Dr. Stuart Brown, play allows pretend rehearsal for the challenges of the ambiguities a rehearsal in which life and death are not at stake. So by having them take small, reasonable social risks now, we safeguard them against big, scary social risks when they get older. And another quote from Grover Tully is, the best way to learn to be safe is to learn how to judge danger. But, I know what's coming. Oh, we got lots of comments popping up all of a sudden. Hey, Marie. Hey, Jessica. Jamie says, why is it that everything is a gun or a sword? Because kids need make-believe violence. They need to learn about power dynamics, and the best way to do that, the safest way to do that, is through play. Janelle says, my daughter, hey brother, you want to wrestle? Yeah. My son this morning, they weren't out of bed yet. I was still in bed, but I could hear them through the wall. And he said to his little brother Owen, he was like, okay, I'm gonna jump on you now. And Owen went, yes. And I was like, okay. Awesome. At least he got consent first, right? Yeah. Okay. So what do we do? Because I know it's coming. What when they do when they do hurt each other? Because it's gonna happen, right? They're learning. They're not perfect any more than we are. But I'm not going to go into that right now because one, we'll be here all night. And two, I already have a blog post about that process, which I've linked in the description of this video, along with the link to grab my scripts for managing crazy-making behavior. So if you like these little kind of what to say when tidbit scripts that I've been giving you, there's 10 of them in that script pack, and it covers the behaviors that my parenting posse told me were driving them most up the wall. And it's totally free, so you can also link into that in the description. Okay. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Consent is hard, and I know a lot of people, when they start thinking about consent, it feels like this big, scary topic that is intrinsically linked to sex. And we feel like little kids are way too young to be learning that concept, and they are, but we can teach it to them, and they can generalize it to that when they're older. We can use rough and tumble play and help them navigate that and start learning that habit of, can I touch you? Great. How can I touch you? Really, really young. And it's really neat to see. As I said, I have two little boys, and like, as I said this morning, it was, hey, I'm going to jump on you now. And he was like, yes. And then he did it. I heard him. And, but also, like, my son will be playing with his peers, and they'll be like out in the backyard. I'll be working in here, and I can hear him go, whoa, stop. I'm not okay with you touching me that way. Do you want to wrestle? And the other kid's usually like, yeah, I guess. And he's like, okay, great. I'm not okay with headshots, and I'm not okay with you hitting me in the knee. He's not a thing about kids kicking him in the knees. I don't know why that specifically. I'm not okay with you kicking me in the knees. And the other kid was like, okay, that's fine. Don't hit me in the ear. And he was like, okay. So no hitting anybody in the ear, no hitting anybody in the head, and no kicking in the knees. Okay? Okay. Great. Let's go. And then they just like went for it. It's so cool to see once they internalize it, and once they kind of know the process, they can then teach it to the kids around them. And I'm really interested to see how that kind of follows him into kindergarten. Okay. Jamie says, this is actually kind of a relief. I don't have to helicopter parent this issue. No, you don't. You totally don't. As long as you teach them the steps, right? Get consent, apply boundaries, sum it all up, get everybody to agree, go ham, right? And then often when they do get hurt, and it's like it hurt because another kid didn't intend it to hurt, it just, they cuffed them in the ear or something that wasn't intentional, you can then help them reestablish new boundaries. Okay, so that really hurt you and you're upset. So should we make it a rule that we're not going to hit people in the ear? Yeah. Okay, is everybody good with that? Awesome. Okay, so no more. And usually once kids know that it's not going to happen again, they're like, okay, and they kind of shake it off and they just go back to it because now the rule is that it can't happen again, right? And they have a way to say, no, 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 we agreed that there would be no headshots, so I don't want to play with you anymore, right? We want to give children their own responsibility over their social interactions like that. Yes, when they're 3 and 4 and sometimes even 5, we're going to have to really facilitate that exchange to begin with. But the better they get at it, the more they do it, the more that we show them how to do it, the more ownership they're going to be able to take over it, and then you get to back off. And that's the idea, right? We want to work ourselves out of a job. Okay, so that is it for me tonight. As always, if you have questions or comments, you can drop them in the comments or come and join us in the Parenting Posse and ask there. Have a great night, everyone, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.